Hi guys. This isn't going to be like one of my normal videos where I'm talking about army stuff and showing you what I do during the day, but I feel like this video needs to be made, and I'll explain why in a sec. I was recently able to work with a guy named Devin Mitchell. For those of you who don't know, Devin Mitchell runs a project known as the Veterans Vision Project, and I'm sure you probably have seen bits and snippets of it, but it's where they have a picture of veterans, usually in uniform, and then a reflection is their civilian clothes or vice versa, with the intent of painting a more broader picture of who that member of the military is as a person and not just someone in a uniform who thinks all the same way, and that the military is not just one homogenous group who all thinks this one exact way and is super military all the time, but in fact it's actually a group of individuals that each have their own story to tell. And that's why I'm making this video. Today's the 21st, so the post was made today. I'll try to get this video out today if I can, the same day, because I'm anticipating that I'll start getting some questions about it on my channel, and instead of answering all the questions that would come up because of this post that I was in, I figured I'd just make this video and clear everything up. So, like the title said, this is something that I don't talk about. I avoid this subject as much as I possibly can in most days, to the point where I will sometimes just lie in order to get around the subject. So my father was killed in Iraq in 2007. He was a Black Hawk pilot, and on January 20th, his Black Hawk was shot down, killing himself and everyone else on board. So when I say that this is affecting me, it should also be noted that this is affecting, at a minimum, 11 other families who are going through the exact same thing. I got the opportunity to do one of these posts with Devin, and I decided to talk about my general discomfort with this topic, because it has shaped who I am, definitely growing up and definitely to this day, and it was the major influence for why I joined the Army. Speaking of Army, if you hear explosions in the background, that's because there are actual explosions in the background. I live on post. It cannot be avoided. Those of you who have seen the post and have read what I wrote for it, they already know, but when a service member is killed, their family gets a set of lapel pins, and I have one, and I wear it, and it's to be worn on the ASU or dress uniform of the surviving family members, and it's something that I have never seen anywhere else. I've never seen anyone else wear one. Not that I don't know other people that are in my situation. I know of at least one other person, but I never saw him wear it. But it's rare to the point where when I went to go buy an extra one at all of the military supply stores off post, that literally not one of them had ever heard of it, let alone carry it. So I knew that by wearing one, I would be drawing a lot of attention to myself, which is, especially when I'm in uniform, I avoid like the plague. So anytime I've worn my ASUs, I've never worn this device that goes on the uniform, simply because I just didn't want everyone and their brother coming up to me and asking me why I had this thing on my uniform that they'd never seen before, and they think it's wrong, and probably thought that it was some fake thing that I just slapped on there to draw attention for myself and to get pity for. So it was just not something I even wanted to touch with a 10-foot pole. But recently, a few weeks ago, I went back home to Little Rock, Arkansas, when I shot that short little thing. And the primary reason for that was actually to attend a ceremony where they were dedicating a building to my father, as well as another Arkansas service member who was killed a year prior to him. And the idea of having a ceremony like that really made me uncomfortable, simply because it was bringing back a lot of stuff that I feel for the most part I've gotten over. I wouldn't say gotten over, but have moved on from. And then knowing my whole family would be there, and that I would be in uniform, and I would just be a lieutenant in a room of colonels and lieutenant colonels and generals, and then having the entire thing centered around my family and myself being the only one in uniform in my family. It was a lot of attention on me over a subject that I was very uncomfortable about. But I also decided that if there was a time for me to wear this device, it would be there. And then when I was there, seeing some of my father's old coworkers, and seeing the effect that me wearing that device on my lapel, and them seeing the son of their former colleague or friend or commander wearing the uniform and then also wearing the device on my uniform to honor him, I could tell that it really meant a lot to them. And kind of seeing that gave me the confidence to be a little bit more open about the situation, but also being more open to do this photograph for Devin. And like I said, this is something that makes me uncomfortable to the point where I will lie about it, because myself, I'm already a fairly introverted person. You can ask most people that know me that in a lot of given situations, I'm usually the quiet one if I say anything at all. So I at the loudest, I'm quiet. At most, I'm silent. So I already don't do well in a lot of social situations. And then to be in a conversation with someone and then them just ask, harmlessly, hey, what do your parents do? And I say, oh, my mom does this and my dad flew for the Army. And then, of course, the question leads itself to, oh, what is he? Does he still do it? Is he still in? Did he get out? And most of the time, I will say he used to, but not anymore. If they ask what he does now, a lot of the times I'll just lie and say he's retired. I want to avoid the subject that much. And a lot of it is because there's nothing worse that I found than having a conversation with someone. You guys are just hanging out, talking, and then that question comes up, and then you drop the fact that your dad was killed when you were a kid. No one really wants to hear that I found. As much as they try to say, like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, no one really knows what to say in that situation, and I wouldn't know what to say in that situation either. And it's not a good feeling to be the person who drops that, and then seeing the other person suddenly feel bad for even asking, and it's just a whole thing that stresses me out, and I avoid it as much as I possibly can. But I feel bad when I do lie about it, and it hurts to lie about such a huge part of your life that's basically shaped every major life decision I made up to this point. I mean, that's the reason I'm in the Army today. As a kid, I never even wanted to be in the Army until I saw the impact that my dad's life had on those around him, and I knew it was because of his relationship with them while he was in the Army. And so it was something that I sought out when I got older. But of course, this leaves the question, Justin, if you're so uncomfortable about it, why are you even making this video? Like, my biggest fear, honestly, is people who see this and be like, oh, he's just exploiting the situation to get views and to get pity and stuff like that. But it's really not the reason. I wouldn't even be making this video if it were not for me taking that photograph with Devin and for me deciding to be a little bit more open about this topic. And I know that there's still going to be those one or two people who are just, that have somehow managed to be more cynical than I have in life and say that, oh, he's just doing this. It doesn't matter what he say. He's just trying to exploit his dead dad for YouTube views to get another dollar per video. But, I've just kind of had to accept that those people will think that no matter what I say. But I'm a big preacher of doing stuff that makes you uncomfortable in the effort of personal growth. Don't let fear relegate your actions, especially when it prevents you from moving forward with something or from being open about something that's this important to you. And so, rather than be a hypocrite and continue to skirt around the subject as much as possible, I've decided to just kind of be more open about it. And it's still going to be hard. I highly doubt that it's something that I'm going to try to be a little more open about, be a little bit more honest with people, because it hurts to, lie about that, especially. But if you have never heard of the Veterans Vision Project before, Devin puts out some amazing content. It's definitely worth your time. It's definitely worth looking into. There's a lot of heart and inspiration that comes into and out of that project. The stories that you'll read that some of those guys have written have been absolutely insane, and super inspiring to even people who have no interest or any connections with the military whatsoever. So I hope that you guys go support that project, go support Devin as much as you can. And this video is really ultimately me thanking him for the opportunity to be more open with this part of my life. So definitely go and give him as much support as you can. And I promise my next video will not be as sappy.